In the fragile light of morning, the valley stirred with breath and life. Early humans, their faces carrying the shadow of their animal ancestry, rose from beds of leaves and fur. They knew the day ahead would demand every ounce of their strength. The air was damp, carrying the scent of wet earth and distant storms. Above, the call of unseen predators echoed, a reminder that in this land, survival was a victory earned anew each dawn. The river promised life, but hid death beneath its shimmering surface. With faces marked by the primal past, they worked in silence, eyes darting between the darting fish and the sinister shapes drifting just below. Hunger gnawed at them, but so did fear. The ripples whispered warnings, the patient predators were always there, waiting for the careless. They spread out under the thorn trees, fingers digging into the dry earth for roots, eyes scanning for signs of danger. Their faces, part human yet marked by the echo of an older form, betrayed the constant calculation between hunger and safety. From the brush, yellow eyes followed, hyenas, hungry for an easy kill. In the heart of the cave, fire danced and whispered secrets to the walls. Shadows leapt, distorting their ape-like faces into masks of fear and hope. The warmth was a fragile shield against the cold and the night's many hunters. Here, among the flicker and the painted stories, they felt, if only for a moment, safe. The grass swayed like the breath of the earth itself, hiding death in golden fur. The lion's gaze was locked on them, silent, unblinking. They walked unaware, their primitive tools and fragile bodies no match for the raw power that watched from the grass. Survival would come down to seconds. And instinct. The plain was a cruel expanse, no cover, no shade, no mercy. The sun hammered down, and the air shimmered with heat. Faces drawn and wary, they moved in a loose line, every step a risk. Above them, vultures spiraled, patient as the grave, waiting to see who would fall first. The waterhole was no place for peace. The buffalo stood heavy and defiant, their horns like polished blades. The early humans, faces marked by a past not yet shed, edged forward with spears raised. Thirst made them bold, but one wrong move would turn the ground into a killing field. The jungle breathed in heavy, green whispers. Beneath the canopy, they moved slowly, their senses dulled by the false safety of shadow. Above them, muscles coiled in silence, a leopard, every inch of it carved for the kill. In the stillness, danger was not seen. Until it struck. The boar crashed through the grass, a living battering ram of muscle and rage. They pursued, driven by hunger and the need to prove their strength. Sweat streaked their primal faces, the air thick with dust and the metallic taste of fear. The beast was dangerous, but so were they. The marsh hummed with insect song, the reeds swaying like silent sentinels. They stepped carefully, feet sinking into black mud. Their faces, half shadow, half reflected sky, were tense with the weight of unseen danger. Beneath the water, a crocodile drifted closer, its eyes cold, its hunger ancient. The mountains rose like teeth against the sky, biting into the clouds. They climbed in single file, the cold biting deeper than any predator's fang. The wind tore at their fur cloaks and froze the sweat on their primitive faces. Each step forward was an act of defiance against a world determined to crush them. The grass whispered around them, brushing against their legs like a living thing. They did not see the hunters weaving through the stalks, only heard the occasional rustle that froze their blood. Faces tight with unease, they kept moving, hoping the circling death would find easier prey. The air reeked of blood and heat. They drove the vultures back with shouting and waving arms, their faces twisted with hunger. The meat was still warm, dangerously fresh. Somewhere beyond the tree line, something else was coming for it, something far less patient than birds. The cave swallowed their torchlight, revealing only fragments, piles of bones, deep gouges carved into stone. Their ape-like faces flickered in the glow, eyes wide with the knowledge that they were not the first to enter. And perhaps not the last. Something had lived here. Something might return. The logs swayed above the churning water, every step a gamble. They moved slowly, faces drawn with focus and fear. On the far bank, golden eyes watched, a jaguar, patient and calculating, waiting to see who would fall. The moon's pale light bled through the branches, painting silver across their tense, ape-like faces. In the shadows, pairs of eyes glimmered, moving with them, closing the distance. The torches were small comfort against the weight of the night's hunger. Dust rose around the stampede, the deer bleating in panic. They shouted and waved, their primal faces fierce with determination. The cliff loomed ahead, a trap forged by the land itself. But in this hunt, victory could turn to disaster in a heartbeat. The sky cracked open, spilling white fire to the earth. The wind howled and tore at them, the rain turning dust to rivers under their feet. Their faces, lit in flashes, were masks of endurance and desperation. Nature's fury was as deadly as any predator. The hollow log promised food, eggs, soft and rich. But when they reached in, the log hissed. Coiled in shadow, the serpent's body shimmered like living muscle, its eyes locked on theirs. In that moment, hunger met the raw, coiled thread of death. The ice groaned under their weight, its song a warning. Their faces were drawn tight against the cold, breath hanging like smoke in the air. Beneath the ice, shapes moved, dark, shifting, and far too large to ignore. The dusk deepened into danger, and the hyenas closed in. Yellow eyes glowed in the fading light, teeth snapping. Spears rose, voices shouted, but the circle only tightened. Their ape-like faces shone with sweat and terror, they knew the night could end here. They built the fire high, feeding it with every scrap of dry wood. The flames licked the sky, casting their faces in gold and shadow. Below, the cries of beasts rose and fell. Fire was life. Without it, they were prey. The canyon walls closed in, echoing their pounding footsteps. Behind them came the yelps and growls of pursuit. Their ape-like faces twisted with effort, lungs burning. One stumble, one misstep, and the canyon would run red. The first light broke over the land, painting it in golden fire. They stood together, their faces, still marked by the ancient form, softened by relief. Against every force that had sought to end them, they endured. In the age of beasts, survival was the greatest victory.